Okay, testing here. Here we go. Is this recording? Cool. So recently, I quit my job, and I've been building something. I've been doing 124 productions. You guys might have seen that little that logo that I made months back, and you'll see it at the end of some of videos, or sometimes in the bottom. In the intro, like the little, anyway, so I've decided to leave that grind, I say as I'm about to grind some coffee, and focus 100% on 124. And it's kind of scary. It's scary, but it's good. I took a month off, and I took some time to just kind of regroup, and it was very cathartic. First of all, I want to say that this would not be even kind of remotely possible if I didn't have the support of my wife, who is just astonishing. She's just such a great partner. But I wanted to bring this up because what I'm going to start doing is I'm challenging myself to do kind of maybe a vlog style. I wouldn't really call it a vlog style, but just kind of having you guys kind of go through this unfiltered process of how I'm finding my clients, how I'm doing my work, how I'm dealing with it, and is it stressful? Yeah, it's definitely going to be stressful, but kind of going over my wins and the things that I'm feeling, because I don't see that a lot on social media. I see a lot of the polish, and it's like, oh, this guy's made it, or this girl's made it, and they're awesome and they're the gurus, and I'm not a guru. I mean, I've been in this. Hold on a second. You gotta turn it on. I've been in this creative field for quite a while, and it's, I don't know how much you can hear, so I'm just gonna stand here and wait. It's my coffee. I roasted this. Can you even hear me? I don't know, but this is coffee that I roasted just yesterday. I got some green beans. All right. So I kind of just want to bring you guys along for the ride. Well, maybe it'll be helpful. I hope it'll be helpful. But it's when you're building a business and trying to develop what your business is. I know what my business is for the most part, but I've already found some interesting outlets that I didn't expect. Let's take, for example, this historical society that I joined just because I'm into history. We have, it's called Preservation of Worcester, and it's, I ran into a guy when Maggie and I, my wife, were out at one of the local historical taverns. Now it doesn't look historic, there's no activity inside being historical. There are certain ones like the Wayside Inn in Sudbury that's like a living museum. This isn't one of those, but it's an old historical landmark that has survived the time, and partially because of the efforts of Preservation of Worcester. Seven Hills is also partnering with the city of Worcester, was a big part of that. So all of them came together. There's probably more entities that had to do with the preservation of this landmark. And so it's been a bank. Back in the day, it was a landmark. It's been a bank. It's been a place for selling rugs. Family owned it, and they were selling rugs out of it. And now it's a community center, and it's really cool. And so they've kept some of the atmosphere from the 1700s. So like the parlor and some of the wallpaper, and they've tried to do some renovations to it. The floors are, updated, but they have some of the old tables, and they have, you can see, you'll look at the wall and you'll see where the fireplace is. Anyway, all this to say, it's just some place that I like to go. And it was cool because Maggie and I were just chilling there. We went to get coffee. They do have a little simple coffee setup. You could just get like the regular black coffee, like cream, and some snacks and whatever. So we were sitting there, we were chilling. As we were leaving, I met a guy who just opened the door, and he and I started chatting, and so he told me about this place. Anyway, the whole point of this story is I ended up joining and getting involved with this organization just because I love history. It's just, especially the 18th century, it's just so interesting to me. And then I got involved, and I started meeting people and being out in the world and doing things that I am interested in. I've been able to kind of bring my photography into that and help them with photos and video that they wouldn't otherwise have. There's landmarks that are up for, they just want people to be a little more aware of the landmarks that are around. So I can take a couple hours, go grab some shots, and use my skill set to help an organization that also shares in things that I love, which is the history. So I bring this up because you never know where business is going to come from. Now, I've been starting to get my name out there. 124 has been kind of a side thing that I've done for years. And I did it out in California for some of the bigger things. I've done some celebrity recording. And I mean, that was cool, but that's a nice feather in my cap. But I like what I'm doing now. Not that I didn't like it back then, but it's the stress that I don't feel right now. There's the stress of I need to make sure that I turn this into something. And there's the pressure of my wife can't be the only one making the bills consistently. I'm getting gigs here and there, and a few $100 this month, maybe 1,000 next month, and I've gotten little, the gig economy. But the pressure that I don't have from other people's inability to plan. I hate to say that, but that's kind of what it comes down to. But the pressure is different. So I don't want this video to be forever. I don't want this video to be a very long time. But one of the things that I'm trying to do with this video is be transparent and be authentic. One of the things, one of the pillars that I have for 124 is authenticity. And I don't have any problems being authentic, being genuine in person. It's very simple. It's very easy. It's very kind of laid back. It's very much this kind of conversation. I feel very comfortable in person or even on the phone. But there's something about the online presence where I feel like I need to have a certain level of polish, because I don't want to say because I know better, but because I do this. I do photo and video. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm a professional in this. So it has to be like up here. And I look at people like Pete McKinnon. I still look at his stuff and love him or hate him. I really enjoy his style. But there's a lot of editing involved in that. And I feel like there's a lot of narrative, and I'm not right now looking to have that narrative, partially because I'm trying to practice this authenticity, this genuinality. That's not a word, in case you don't know. Okay, so I'm doing this. So I ground my coffee. I just warmed up my coffee, and I'm about to just do a little. Let's see if I can get this shot here. I don't know. The lighting's not perfect, but that's one of the parts of being in this like little authentic mood, is not worrying about it. Oh yeah, you might want to see that. Look at the bubbling. Right? That's called off-gassing, for those that don't know. Like it's like a freaking science experiment. This is a whole process. This is a ton of fun. This is called a pour over, if you don't know, and it is a lot of fun. It's oh yeah, there we go. This is a good bloom. Do you see how much that rose up? Like look at how much that's like rising. I don't know if that's going to capture it. It ends up like bubbling up like a volcano where I put the water. But anyway, so anyway, that's like, look, even I'm not even wearing a hat. My hair's kind of tousled. Like every little, not that I want to be lazy, but the idea of not filtering and not saying, like, normally what I would do, and I even almost did it here, is I said, I'm going to go make coffee. I need to make coffee, so let me make coffee first. And I was like, oh, maybe I could just do a recording while I'm doing the coffee. And then I said, oh, but the lighting's not going to be real good. And actually, it's not too bad. It's not too bad in here. But I thought, oh, well, actually, I want to put a light up here on the fridge. And, I should have, maybe some bounce and whatever. Those are the things that I struggle with. And I'm sure you do too, if you're in this kind of field. So I'm trying to do this as an exercise in one of the pillars that I've developed for 124. I didn't develop it, I added it. So currently 124 has multiple pillars. That's what I call it, to help with the foundation, in no particular order. Authenticity, craftsmanship, partnership, which is a big one. What did I say? Oh, integrity. I don't want that to be a buzzword. I feel kind of like integrity and authenticity are buzzwords, but I wanted to make sure that they were still in there. Everything that I do has integrity. The whole thing about 124 is the legacy name, and there's a big reason why I called it 124, and it's outside myself, and we can get into that another time. We probably will, to be honest, because what I'm going to try to do is these videos 5 days a week for this next month at least, and see if I can keep that going. So it'll be like Monday through Friday. I'm taking the weekends off. That's the time for me and my wife, for me to write, to do things that don't have to do with the business. And that's just, I want to make sure that I keep that mind space, because that's the other thing too, is I have this chance to create this life that I want. And I don't want to create a hamster wheel that I just have to keep running, because I wasn't very cognizant of each step. So I could just go out there and just go grab work and get work and just do the work, and then just eventually have so much work that I'm overwhelmed. That's why I left. That's why I left the organization that I was with. That's why I left the industry as a whole and didn't just try to get into another job, is because I want to have that control. I want to have that ability to control not just how the time impacts me, but it impacts my wife. There were so many times where she was home and she made dinner and I was still working, and a client meeting emergency happened at 4:30 in the afternoon in California time, which is where my job was. But I was working. I live on the East Coast, so it's 3 hours ahead. So it was 7:30. And honestly, photos and videos and graphics and even websites, maybe websites if there was a technical issue, because I've done lots of website work, but it wasn't that. It was always some sort of it was honestly a meeting that could have waited till the next day, or didn't even need me at all. But all of a sudden I was being called and say, we need you to join this meeting because X, Y, and Z. And so my wife would have to either put the food back in the oven and just try to keep it warm, or eat on her own. And she made multiple times, she made wonderful dishes, and she put a lot of effort into them. And there were multiple times, no matter how much I tried to push back against that, I would be called and I would be expected, given my position, I'd be expected to be on those calls, even if they were last minute. And so that's too much. It was too much. She's been asking me to leave for a very long time, and we'll figure out the financing and whatever, because I was getting paid well, and I liked what I was doing, but I didn't like how it was getting done. And I feel like that's an issue that so much of us are having or have had, even if it isn't a creative industry. I mean, I know a lot of industries that teachers I've talked to that are just in the same scenario where it's like they'll have emergencies. And it's like, this isn't an emergency. This is a lack of planning or a lack of pushback, or I feel like a lack of partnership with the client or the administrator or whatever, whoever the person is that's like passing down this task. I feel like that's where the partnership aspect comes from. And I guess why not? Let's just talk about it. So partnership is really the number one core aspect of what I want to focus on. By the way, you're doing great. We'll finish up this thought in the other room. Hold on. What are we at for time? 17:28. Okay. I'll see you. All right. So partnership. I don't want to go too heavy into this because I don't want this video to be forever, and I can bring this up maybe another day this week. But that's one of the biggest foundational principles of 124, and here's why. So often in the industry we have, let's just say project managers, okay? And not to throw project managers in general under the bus. That's not what the point of this is. But if the creative person, let's say whatever it is that your industry is, but as the creative person, if the person doing the work isn't in the room, then oftentimes the answer to the client is yes. And then when it gets handed down to the person doing the work, like the video editor, all of a sudden you're like, this can't be done. Not to the level that you're expecting, not to what you want. So client, this happened all the time. If I was part of the conversation, if I was in the room, if I was on the call, then oftentimes I could head this stuff off at the pass and I could partner with the client. And almost always the client was happy about it because they would say, hey, let's say it's Tuesday, right? And we have a video that was supposed to be delivered that day. They're looking at the final, or we gave them the final, and this is the meeting to kind of go over any revisions. So they'd say, hey, these are all the edits and we want them by Thursday. Or they might even say, can we get this by Thursday? A lot of times clients are asking, can we? Not, we need this. Can we get it? Which I understand could be a soft way of saying like, hey, dude, we need this. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if I'm in the room, if I'm the guy that's doing the work, or at least understanding everything that's along with the work, because if I had a team of guys and they're doing the work, I know what's entailed in that. So I can say to the client, we can't get you that by Thursday, but this is what we can do by Thursday. And so this covers 80% of what you're asking. But the 20% that the extra 20% that you're asking for, let's say like motion graphics, or maybe they wanted 3D something, I don't know, let's just say heavy motion graphics that need more time to develop and get right and export and the whole thing. It'd say, hey, we can get this for you. It's 80% of it is, yeah, absolutely, we'll have it. But if you want that other 20%, that's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. And more often than not, I almost always would get okay, that's fine. We don't need to do that extra 20. We just need this. That would be nice, but no, it's not worth it on the budget. That's another thing. Maybe the budget is $100,000 for this thing. And it's like, yeah, we could do that, but we're going to have to pull in somebody else. We're going to have to burn extra man hours. We're going to have to do overtime. We're going to, what can the budget handle? Is it worth it for that? Most of the time it's just an ask. It's not we need. So being part of that conversation and partnering with the client is so powerful. It really is. And it sets you as the creative or as the person that's being hired, it sets you at a point where they can see you're trying to do what's best for them, what's within their best interest, that you can still deliver a good, meaningful product. And it's not just that I don't want to do the work. I also have other clients that I'm working with. So I have to keep that in mind too. It's like, if all I had to do was drop everything else and work on this, and you don't say this to the client, you don't say it like this, because it's not the right way to do it. But mentally, if I say, yes, I could do it, but I'd have to drop everything else, and I'd have to do nothing but this for the next 2 days and make sure that, you know, I'm hustling at it. Like if I had to do that extra 20%, more often than not, it's just an ask and it's not what they really need. They're probing. Is that possible? So that's where the partnership comes into play. So it's so important for partnership. So that's why it's the number one for 124. So, and then integrity, everybody knows what that is. And so that's just trying to keep that front of mind. That's not a hard thing for me. That's just, you know, being me. Like it's not even that I have to make sure that I kind of like sell that. I think everybody wants to be do things with integrity. Most people, most companies. So, and then the craftsmanship is talking about like this is a craft. It's not just something that I do for money. It's the learning what I'm doing. It's being hungry for more, for learning more, and watching YouTube videos and seeing how other people are doing it and saying, oh yeah, I could do it that way. Let me try that. Or seeing new things in Lightroom, or not even just photo and video, but you know, taking the writing aspect into it, you know, storytelling and just exploring every avenue of it, like the film cameras that I get over there. That's something that I would really love to get more into, but it's just so costly with the film to buy it and then develop it, and then it's a long process. So, but just the craftsmanship is, I think, about the breathing and the drinking all this in. Speaking of which, hold on. This is good coffee. So that's where the craftsmanship comes from, and then the authenticity was at the end there. And I'm still working. There's a couple others that I might add into the pillars. You know, those are the basic four that kind of make this up. So anyway, like I said, this whole video is all about, it's part of a process of being authentic and being unfiltered. I am going to edit some things out, I'm sure, because I did kind of like pause for thought, and you guys don't want to sit there for 2 minutes while I pause and think. And I know that. So, but that's it. I think that's all I have to say right now. I'm going to see you tomorrow. I'm just going to throw this in the computer, do a little tweaking for editing, not much at all. And I think that I'm gonna try to do this. 20 times, you know, 5 days a week for the next month, and we'll see how it goes. Until next time, be good to each other.